Welcome back YouTube to the educational series, and in this episode we're going to be talking about things that are perfectly normal to feel when you are dieting. And what I mean by this is things need to be normalized when you are dieting. I think very commonly we see if someone's doing a diet for the first time, they will essentially panic when they experience something they've not experienced before. And in this video we're going to kind of break down very normal things that will happen and crop up during a prep, fat loss or dieting phase, whatever you want to call it. And if this, feels like it's for you, it's not you falling behind, okay? This, and what we'll cover in today's video is very much part of the process and very much normal as well. Okay, so obviously breaking it down into different phases of the diet. At the start, you're probably not going to feel this one just yet, but as you go through the phases and the motion, so to speak, it's inevitable. You are going to start to feel a little bit more hungry. And essentially your body is in a calorie deficit, so hunger is expected, okay? If we weren't to feel hungry at all at any point throughout the diet, fantastic, you've done a great job, but I can probably guarantee you are plateauing, you're not losing as much body fat or weight as you'd want, and you might need to make a slight change. Again, this might not be the case for everyone. I'm not going to sit here and lie, because my diet, albeit a very longer one, so this is the benefit of doing a longer diet, we'll get into a different video with that one, but you are likely to feel hungry, okay? This is your body's natural defense mechanism, so to speak, and way of telling you that, come on bro, what's going on? We're not eating enough here. Let's try and get some calories in. And this will happen by signaling what's called hunger hormones, which is ghrelin, which is the hunger hormone to kind of signal that you need more food, and that kind of spikes your appetite. And leptin, which is the hunger hormone which kind of makes you feel a lot more satiated and full, and this is massively lowered. So your body, when it starts to realise, hold on a minute, I was having more food than this like a week or two ago, or 2 months ago, or 3 months ago, it's literally your body trying to just tell you to eat more, okay? But one thing that I always have said to my clients from the very first time that I've started coaching, 5 years ago now, is hunger is just a sensation, okay? You are not going to die if you feel hungry, okay? And I think some people take that really well, other people just laugh it off. Anyway, this essentially just means the diet's working, it's not a bad sign. If you know me, maybe by now on this channel, I always try and turn everything into a positive. And if I ever feel hungry, I just think to myself, well, it's working. I'm making progress. If I feel hungry, that's a good sign. So yeah, manage your hunger with high volume foods. Potatoes, rice, oats, vegetables, fruits, anything like that that's very high in volume being the key word, but also quite low on the calorie side of things as well. Okay, so things like oats, potatoes are two of my go-tos when any of my clients or myself are going through a dieting phase, because they are one of the most satiating food sources or groups that you can have. There's a satiety index. Satiety just means kind of how full you feel. And on the satiety index, you'll see that oats and potatoes are right up there. If you were to compare it to maybe like a sweets or chocolate, that'd be right down at the bottom. You could eat a full bag of Haribos and probably still feel hungry. You could eat a full bag of potatoes and probably feel very full. So always try and choose foods that are going to keep you nice and full and satiated. Obviously, adequate protein intake as well. As we know by now, protein is the macronutrient which keeps us feeling full as well. It's the most satiating macronutrient, okay? So some, fast digesting carbs, you can burn through them very easily. If you have enough protein and an adequate amount of protein within your diet, this is a very big hack on how you can actually suppress hunger massively. Another thing that may crop up, again, everyone's individual, and this is why these videos are good, because some of you might be like, oh, that's me. That doesn't relate to me. And one of them is craving different foods. And this is, as in, your body will be like, I'm craving avocado, I'm craving lamb. These are just examples of things I probably would never eat. And essentially this is, again, it's just your body looking at ways to get any form of calorie in, okay? And your body and your hunger hormones will probably signal a little bit weird at times, and you might, crave foods that you never normally would eat. And this, again, is just a sign that the diet is working, and it's just your body's way of seeking extra calories. Just stick to the plan, make foods enjoyable, and these cravings do pass. They will pass 100% every single time. And I think a big part from this bit, and this slide specifically, is make a meal plan at the start that you know that you can stick to for longer than a month. And what you'll see often is people, and this goes back to the kind of flexible dieting versus meal plan. When you're chopping and changing your foods all the time, your body doesn't adjust, it doesn't anticipate what's coming in next. It's constantly firing hunger hormones all left, right and centre, your digestion's kind of working overtime. So choose foods that you enjoy. So for example, it can be very basic. Let's just say chicken, rice and broccoli, for example, because that's something that I had for a long time and still continue to have, because guess what? I enjoy it. How do I make that enjoyable? Well, firstly, quite a bit of salt on it, and secondly, I season my chicken very nicely. And I've talked about this on multiple vlogs, that the all-purpose seasoning from Aldi is goated. I often use salt and pepper seasoning as well, Chinese seasoning, and sometimes paprika. But yeah, again, you can make your foods and your meals enjoyable by adding things like seasoning and spices. It doesn't have to be bland. Excuse me, it doesn't have to be bland or boring. Another very normal thing, and this is probably one of the biggest things that frustrates everyone, even me, I'm not going to sit here and lie to you, even me, your scale weight will fluctuate, okay? And I think it's very important to remember it's not linear, probably for 99% of people it's not linear. You will get the odd freak who is just like continuous progress, but that's not normal for most people. The scales will jump up and down, even when you're in a deficit, okay? And this could be down to water retention, sodium intake, digestion. Trust the long-term trend and not daily fluctuation. So the big thing that I do with my clients is we take daily scale weights, not just like once or twice per week. And I know you hear a lot of, it's not healthy, it's not good for your mindset to weigh yourself every single day. Well, these people probably aren't getting results, firstly. Weigh yourself every single day, at the same time every single morning, even on the weekends, in a fasted state. Keep that consistent, or if you are someone who has to kind of change their weighing times around due to maybe work or night shifts, whatever, just try and keep it as consistent as you can and take an average from that week. Do not read it as gospel. If you've shot up 2 pounds the morning after, do not make any sudden changes. You don't need to do that. See what the rest of the week does. And this is very common even with my clients, who I still reassure every single week that it could be water weight. You could have had a really intense session. And my perfect example, and it's come around quite well, Saturday I trained legs. First leg session in probably about 4 weeks. Tough. I probably should have gone in with a little bit more of a deload approach, or a devolume approach at least. And I was 3 pounds heavier Sunday morning. Did I eat off plan? No. Did I have anything different in that day apart from the leg session? No. And what happens is when your body is in a position of shock or threat or fatigue, your body will naturally, or muscles will inflame firstly, and the body will actually draw water into them muscles, so therefore you'll appear heavier on the scales the next morning. And this can be for anything. It can be stress. For women it can be, menstrual cycle. For, people that go to the gym or do have quite vigorous jobs, it can be just general fatigue on the body, and your body will hold a lot more water from this. Your mood swings more than usual. I can't say that I fully relate to this. There will be times that I might get a little bit snappier or a little bit less calm, maybe a bit more agitated, but essentially lower calories and dieting stress can impact your mood. Prioritize your sleep, manage stress, and remind yourself why you're doing this. So I think a big one to take away from this is remind yourself that no one is forcing you to do this. No one is forcing you to diet. No one has got a gun to your head and saying, if you don't finish this diet, I will pull the trigger. Always remind yourself that it is your choice that you're doing anything like this, whether it be a photo shoot prep, whether it be a prep for a competition, whether it just be a diet for a holiday, okay? Do not let your mood, or do not let other people be affected by your mood, okay? You have a choice. If you don't want to diet, stop, okay? If you want to eat more food and be happier and more consistent with your moods, carry on eating just whatever you want. You can't have both though, unfortunately. And for a lot of people, it's not like massive mood swings. You don't get agitated or like angry or lash out. For most people, you might feel a little bit down some days. And a big thing that happened to me during the final few weeks of prep was, I think when you hear your mood swings, you automatically think aggression. You think, don't speak to me. Everyone shut up. But it's not really a case of that. My mood swings during the last kind of month of prep was relatively energetic throughout the day. After I'd trained in the afternoon, I'd come home and then I just had no enthusiasm for anything. Even speaking to Hannah, which I did have to apologise multiple times for. but I had no oomph in me. I was done for the day. And this can be obviously testosterone levels, this can be cortisol maybe a little bit higher than normal, this can be, again, so many different things going on underneath the hood. But I remember one time specifically, I was playing FIFA just for a little bit of a wind down time on the weekend after I'd finished all my work and after I'd finished training, and I was sat with the controller in my hand and I was like, I really can't be bothered playing this. And I just left the game. I've never quit games on FIFA either. And I just quit. I couldn't be bothered playing. I just had nothing in me to kind of actually want to do anything. And the easiest thing that you can do, I find anyway, when you have very low, maybe dopamine, very low energy, is you just sit and you scroll through Instagram, don't you? I feel like a lot of people can relate to this. Let me know down below if that's something you do. And I think I'm going to do a separate video on this again. Instagram is the devil, but also a big blessing as well. But it is so easy. Like, it's the first thing you check in the morning. It's the last thing you check before bed, for me anyway. But I think a big part of it is because my business is on Instagram as well. But I do see people in the gym all the time scrolling through Instagram, so it must maybe not just be me. But yeah, like, you know, when you just sat there with no, it's probably the best way to describe it is when you're hungover and you don't want to do anything, and it's just so easy just to scroll. You get a very small spike of dopamine from going on your phone when you are either back end of a diet or hungover. But again, just to kind of reiterate on all of these points, if you are experiencing these things, it is normal. I repeat, it is normal. You are not special. It is not just happening to you. I can guarantee you every person, pretty much every person, whether they be Olympia Pro Standard bodybuilders or just Karen from across the street who's tried to lose a few pounds before a holiday. Everyone, every human being, every Homo sapien will have experienced at least one, if not all of these things, okay? These are all tools, that you can use to mitigate this, okay? So again, from like let's go back through them all, I'll give you some actionable points. So you're more hungry than normal, so we know what to do for this one. High volume foods, satiating foods, high protein, simple as that. Craving different foods, okay? Just stick to the plan, trust the process, these feelings will pass. If you still are craving them foods in 2, 3, 4 days, then you've probably got a deeper lying issue, but it will pass. Your scale weight will fluctuate. One simple rule, do not lose your head. Do not change anything the next day, do not slash calories, do not do more cardio, just return to your normal plan. If after maybe another week, scale weight is still fluctuating or going up, maybe it's time to make a change, but you don't need to make a change straight away after you've seen an initial spike in scale weight. Your mood swings, again, maybe not affirmations or journaling unless you want to, but just remind yourself why you're doing this. Maybe look back at your very start position, your pitch progress photos that you first sent across or that you first took, your initial scale weight, look how far you've come, okay? Don't let your mood dictate the rest of the journey. And again, like I say, on the positive, you are probably a lot closer than you think to being done. When you start to feel these a lot more regularly, it's probably a sign that, well, again, if you've got a coach, it might be time for a bit of a deload from the gym or devolume. You might need a diet break. There's many factors that you can actually use to implement to help with the longevity of the prep or the fat loss phase. But on the other hand, you might be very close to being done as well. So there's a lot of benefits and positives to take away from this video. If you are struggling with any of these, please leave a comment below and I'll be more than happy to help or point you in the right direction of how you can mitigate some of this. But hopefully you've enjoyed this video and I look forward to seeing you in the next one.